Let's talk about dank and dark. Yeah, you go down a dodgy hallway, dodgy wooden hallway with
With posters still there
posters.
from 1987. Yeah.
That's it. And then you go downstairs and you go underneath, and then it's this little video store. But I just love going there. My wife's the opposite, funnily enough. But I could spend like an hour or
Of
two
course.
just looking
Of
through
course.
stuff, and there's that kind of element of the mystery, I suppose, of whether what you're going to find, and
Yep. Taking the gamble, taking the risk. You hire it. You rent it. You watch it, sort of thing.
there's a guitar store here. Now I don't play guitar, but I want to learn. I started
Mm.
learning a year or so ago because I've just always regretted not learning. Right, and then I thought to myself, this is stupid. Like, why don't I just like suck it up and start learning? So I
Sure.
did, but then of course I've left it go for a year now, so I have to kind of start from scratch. But the moral of the story is, there's something really nice about going to this shop, the guitar store there. It's a little bit kind of beat up. It's only a small joint. The guy has the same first name, so that may help. I don't know, but he's very friendly, and it's just kind of, you feel like, you know years of people coming in there, and like you look at some of the posters, and a bit like this background where he's got something there and then something else kind of slapped over the top of it,
Yep.
and it's just got a real character that I fear we could lose altogether if we're not careful. Because he was saying that the problem now is everyone just buys stuff online,
Yeah.
or they don't tend to come in and buy a secondhand guitar from there, because they can just go to this other big chain and they can get stuff from those guys. So like they sort of survive on their music lessons mostly. But I've been talking about, just I wanted to do something because I love music as well, and I feel like
Mm.
maybe I could just do a bit of a series with him. And but I had this concept of, like, I don't know what the title would be, but something that would focus particularly on that element of life and those types of places that need to be taken into consideration. Like the video store, for example. Probably my favourite experience with a video store was in Bellingham, where I went to high school, and the video store was kind of.
Bellingen Video Hire. I know Bellingen
Do
Video
you?
Hire. I've been there before. You
Oh
walk
yeah,
down the
downstairs.
down the stairs.
Yeah,
I know it.
let's
Yeah.
talk about dank and dark. Yeah, you go down a dodgy hallway, dodgy wooden hallway with
With posters still there from 1987. Yeah.
That's it. And then you go downstairs and you go underneath, and then it's this little video store. But I just love going there. My wife's the opposite, funnily enough. But I could spend like an hour or
Of
two
course.
just looking
Of
through
course.
stuff, and there's that kind of element of the mystery, I suppose, of whether what you're going to find, and
Yep. Taking the gamble, taking the risk. You hire it. You rent it. You watch it, sort of thing. And I just want to return to one point you were making, and
yeah,
it's a great point that I hadn't thought of previously. I was discussing this with my wife a couple of days ago about how, there's nothing to watch in cinemas. All the companies are pulling their big movies. As we do have this chat, we've just found out that June's been pulled out of December, and Fast and Furious been pushed back again, and probably Wonder Woman's going to be moved out of it, the summer slot. And we're looking down the barrel of a summer movie season without any movies. And I was sort of making the point the other day, how many times can they rescreen The Princess Bride? How many times can you watch, and I'm looking around your posters here to see, and how many times can they show Jurassic Park or Pretty Woman again in the cinemas? But the point you make is interesting about the quote unquote hipsters, God bless them. Maybe they'll see these movies in the cinema for the first time, and they'll start to understand why this type of storytelling, this type of movie, these sort of great movies from that last generation of cinema going are important to some of us older people, and why the cinema going experience should be cherished and should be encouraged and embraced, and made something that future generations can enjoy. So I think it going back to the movies and keeping that community experience, maybe by re-energizing some of these old films. I mean, God, I just saw down here Monty Python and the Holy Grail, one of my favorite movies, but which I've never seen on the big screen. So, see, that's another thing. You have this.
Oh, there's so many. Yeah. Like there's so many here that I have. That I haven't seen on the big screen either, and I would love to. Yeah, anything that's kind of space orientated, I think, is a great experience in a dark cinema, because you get that kind of sensation of just the volume, of space. But yeah, it's oh, I don't know. It's look. I think there's hope, and I think like it's exciting what you're doing. I think with the film festival and what you're talking about with
Thank you,
Like
mate.
Art,
Thank you.
and you said what's the name of the place again? The Actors.
Actors Centre Australia. It was a small sort of teaching facility in Surrey Hills for many years,
Yep.
but it was very successful. It sort of became lived a little bit in the shadow of NIDA for a long time, but has sort of boomed and blossomed and um, moved to this big sort of state of the art venue at Leichhardt. The patron is Hugh Jackman. The founder is a gentleman called Dean Carey, who's an actor himself, and they've had the likes of Kriv Stenders and Megan Riakos and all these great sort of Australian directors go through their teaching masterclasses and acting for camera and stuff like that. So yeah, ACA, it's known as, or Actors Centre Australia. It's we're really lucky to have them on board.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I definitely wish you well. Now, I'm curious because for somebody who's spent so much, well, no, actually, two things I want to try and fit in here in a couple of minutes. It's not a fast. I've contemplated doing those like fast minute things or whatever, but
Sure.
it's not quite at that. But okay, firstly, what's your favourite genre?
Oh, that's interesting. I've kind of gone back to my teenage mind, and I'm really re-embracing horror at the moment. I love the foreign stuff, the subtitled and the dramas and the British kitchen sink living and all those sort of social dramas. But sometimes you just want the really visceral punch that horror and science fiction gives. So yeah,
Yeah,
those darker genres are the ones that I really enjoy.
yeah. Um, oh, what was the other? I'm chewing up. I'm chewing up
Don't
critical
ask me what
moments.
don't ask me what my favorite film is, because there's a
Oh
million
yeah.
different
Oh
answers to
my
that from a
god.
different points of
So
view.
hard, isn't
There's
it?
ones that I have come to appreciate, like as a film critic. The more you learn about things, you more how important things like Citizen Kane in 2001.
Yeah.
There are those films that are just important to me, like Peter Sellers in the Party and The Breakfast Club, that that aren't, they are classic films as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned. And
Yeah.
then they're the ones I mentioned that you grew up with, the Raiders and the Star Wars,
Yeah.
that sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
I just watched. I don't know if you've seen it, but I just watched the other day. I think it's on Netflix. The Raid. I think it's called Raiders. I think, and it's about these guys that made, like, for whatever
The
reason
shot
in
for shot.
their teens, they decide to remake it, and it's basically spent
Shot
half
for
their life
shot.
trying to create this thing, and then like buried it as some silly childhood thing, and then they basically resuscitated it and finished
I,
it. I thought it was
Well,
so
exactly. Is
good.
that the documentary that shows how they make it? And they had to shut the
Yeah.
whole thing down because they got to the Nazi wing, the big sort of big about the when he has the fight in front of the propellers. They didn't know how to shoot it, and they came back to it years later and finally finished it.
That's it. Yeah,
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 it's a
that's
great
it. And I
film.
think
It's a great film.
Even Steven Spielberg, I think he maybe spoke to them or something or
Yeah,
other, but he
he
definitely
endorsed it. Sure.
acknowledged it, and then they
Yeah,
ended up screening it at a cinema, and there was a lineup of people all there who were excited
yeah.
to see it. So that's yeah, that's pretty cool. So mate, thanks for coming. We've just hit the hour there, and I know you've got to get prepared for your show this afternoon. So, you're on the airwaves for ABC, was it?
Yeah, ABC FM local. So I go out to all the across the statewide ABC FM. So largest footprint on the ABC FM dial, which is very exciting. This afternoon I'll be talking about. I thought I'd go in slowly because I got a new announcer this afternoon, and it's the 5 movies that changed cinema over the last 100 years. I've got no idea what I'm talking about. I got half an hour of research to do.
So good. Hey, mate, it's been really great talking to you. And I don't know what that other question was, but we can maybe have you back again sometime. I'm sure we could talk for a long time about a variety
Mate,
of different things.
I'd love to come back. All the very best with your endeavours, with
Yes.
Flicks for Good and everything you're
Yeah.
doing. It's a great undertaking you've taken on there. So thank you for having me on anytime.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, mate. All right.
Thanks,
enjoy.
Brad.
Thanks, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Okay. So good. Oh, could just go on for ages talking about all of that stuff. Very, very entertaining. it's a curse, that mental blank. It's going to haunt me now. I'll have to figure out what that was. It's probably some ridiculous question of really no major significance whatsoever. But nonetheless, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I will be uploading the other episodes that I filmed before. You can find them if you're really keen. You can actually go to the Flicks for Good page on Facebook and YouTube, and you can watch Filmmaker Fridays. And there are some great people there. Bill Hughes, who's a long-standing producer director in Australia, who's basically any of the major TV shows from almost the beginning of time, like Skippy and A Country Practice and all these shows, and some that others probably would sledge pretty heavily, like Home and Away in more recent times for 9 years or so. He has either produced or directed those, and he's just a really down-to-earth guy. So I'll be screening those at some point, and then we'll have more. So if you on that topic, if you know anybody or you've worked on any of those films that are on the poster there, I would love to talk to you. And I don't care whether you just were on craft services handing out Vegemite sandwiches or you were directing. I'm still keen to have a chat. All right, all the best, guys, and I'll catch you next